Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Horizon Forbidden West for the PS4. Horizon Forbidden West is an action role-playing game developed by Guerrilla Games. You play as Aloy, an outcast from the Nora tribe who once again has to save the world from a new threat that could endanger life as we know it. So what is the game like to play? Well, Forbidden West does what most open world games do these days. It starts with a 3-hour tutorial that locks you into a fairly narrow path as it teaches you the controls and sets the scene for the narrative. Personally, I find these sections completely unnecessary and tedious, but once this is done, you are free to explore, for the most part, a vast and gorgeous open world. In terms of controls, like the first game, it's very smooth and it's very well thought out in terms of the systems, and it has a really seamless and user-friendly system, whether it's menus, whether it's combat. From using your bow, slowing time down to focus shots, setting traps, traversing the environment, all of this. It's very, very smooth, it's seamless and incredibly easy on the eye. Aloy can use her focus. The focus is an object that allows her to see technical aspects of the environment or the enemies. And speaking of the enemies, you've got two main varieties. You've got humans and you've got robot creatures. These creatures contain resources and the focus can ID each part, what points are weak to certain attacks, and other key information that really helps you in a fight if you want to do your research. One part of the combat that disappointed me was the melee side. Ranged combat is wonderful, but weapon-based skirmishes in a hand-to-hand sort of system, they really do lack tactical depth. Thankfully the other combat options are fantastic, with an array of bows to purchase that is quite frankly absolutely bewildering. I would say perhaps there are a little too many bows, with each one having different spec, in terms of what they do. It does add a sort of an unnecessary complication when changing weapons in the mid-fight. Like, what is this bow? Is this a good one for this? Is this good for that? I don't know. Maybe just sort of ammo varieties would have been a better option, like how many bows can one person carry at a time really? You can also purchase other weapons like tripwires and projectile weapons, but it is the bow that will become your mainstay. Armor too has several options that can be also tweaked if you've got the necessary resources. And there's some nice different outfits if you depending on what you want to wear, you can buy them and find them throughout the game world. Right, let's talk about the wildlife and the boss fights. So the variety of creatures in Forbidden West is very impressive, with each one posing a slightly different threat, as well as different rewards for defeating them. It's this variety and more importantly the danger that comes with it that brings the game world to life. But for me it was the boss fights that really do set this game apart from other AAA games. Rather than going for large bullet sponges who have overpowered attacks and are just really trolly, Forbidden West goes for a nice fresh approach. It's intuitive, it's intelligent, it's varied, and it makes you think, it makes you adapt, it makes you improve your strategy without being a complete arse about it. It does it in a nice fair way. And as Aloy does this over time, she will develop. She will expand her skill tree, and that skill tree, I have to say, is quite comprehensive. At first, when I first looked at it, I was like, holy crap, what is this? It's confused and a bit muddled, but once you start to get to grips with it, it's very good. You've got each individual branches for the warrior class, trapper, hunter, survivor, infiltrator, and machine master, so it depends what you want to do. There's also a valor surge potion, which is like a special trait, and when you drink the potion, you get a special skill, like for example, a cloaking device. Okay, so storyline wise, what did I think? Well, I was a little bit worried in the early stages that it was just going to be like one of these copy and paste jobs, but in time, Forbidden West does reveal a compelling, interesting, and enjoyable story. I also have to say the cutscenes are the best I've ever seen, not just visually, but also the body language, the framing, everything about them.
And she's dying. But not just dying. She's suffering.
Her condition is not your concern.
So, if anyone can help, it's Aloy.
May I?
It makes those long dialogue stretches worth watching, not just because they look nice, but because they're written in a realistic and believable way. The characters are wonderful for the most part, with really a lot of depth in the conversations if you want to explore them.
The old ones believed one could hear the great waters, even in the middle of the desert, if you carried the carcass of a water animal with you. They called them seashells.
That sounds kind of gross.
The supporting cast are fantastic, and it does make up for Aloy's constant commentary and whining. From new friends to familiar old faces, the other characters, they've got a lot of depth, they've got really good dialogue, and you know what, it made me want to actually get to know them, which is kind of rare in a computer game because usually they're just quite tedious, aren't they? Sadly, Aloy isn't quite as likeable as the supporting cast. Maybe it's the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, but Aloy is a constant moaner, complaining, and just generally whining about anything she doesn't agree with. It also brings me to one of the most annoying parts of the game, the lead character talking to herself. I know games do this a lot. The lead character jibber jabbers, you start hearing them mumble some rubbish as if they're talking to you. But in Forbidden West, the devs have taken this to a whole new level.
An old world ruin. I wonder what's inside. They gave everything they had to slow down the Pharaoh swarm. To buy Zero Dawn time.
Yea, for as the first shall be kept.
Shut up.
Like, you walk into an area and Aloy will say, "Oh, there's a ladder. I should climb that ladder. Then I'll go along that ledge, I'll jump onto that thing, push that button, climb down, move that item. Oh look, there are parts. Oh, another door, etc, etc. Please, enough." As well as being annoying, this also does ruin the puzzle solving in the majority of locations you visit. And sadly, there's no option to turn this mumbling off. Unless you do mute the voices, which I did do sometimes when I was exploring because, I just couldn't take it anymore. The game world is a vast region to explore, featuring deserts, jungles, and some other wonderful seaside settlements. Explore, gather resources, craft, kill robots, etc. That's the loop. But the side quests and other activities stop it becoming a bit of a chore. And the side quests are a marked improvement on the first game. The dialogue set up, in these quests is better, the characters are more interesting and varied, and you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of one of my favourite games of all time, The Witcher 3. As in, it was hard to differentiate sometimes between the main and the side quests because they were both so well written and, you didn't see a big drop off on the side activities. Fast travel is an option in this vast world, but you can also hack mounts if you want to run across the landscape. But to be honest, the landscape is quite interesting, so I never really felt like fast travel unless there was, I didn't really want to go a really long distance. Now, one element I really liked were the companions. In the story, you've got to assemble a group of allies, and as you do, they head over to your base. While there, you can have these really long and detailed conversations with them that are really interesting and revealing. It kind of reminded me a bit of a light version of Mass Effect 2, like how you assemble a group and then over time you complete tasks for them to help your bond with them grow. It's a really nice touch and it just adds something to the experience. It makes it kind of feel more personal. Visually, this PS4 version holds up really well under scrutiny. Yes, there were one or two moments where it took time to load in the textures, but 95% of the time it performed really well. The game world is a stunning creation. It's got amazing features, it's sensational colour management, lighting, really beautiful. The characters and the costumes are also really amazing. The fine detail is very impressive. The cutscenes, like I said before, they're the new industry standard. Beautiful cinematography, beautiful lighting, polished, compelling, well presented, really nice to watch, which is kind of unusual.
Where are we?
An outpost of the Utaru tribe. Not far from where you fell.
How long?
2 days.
Now, the game also does have a photo mode. Now, if you watch this channel, you know I do the VP guide, so I will cover the photo mode in depth in one of those episodes. But, in a sort of a brief summary, lots of options, lots of kind of quality aspects to it, very user-friendly, easy to sort of put photos together. And it's just a really nice photo mode. Right, sound-wise, Aloy's chatter, that probably is the first thing we should talk about. It ruins a sense of achievement as it feels like she's babysitting you through most basic actions. But that aside, the music is fantastic, it's very emotive at times as well. The voice acting talent, it's right up there with the best I've experienced in any game. They've really, pushed the boat out, they've put their hand in their pocket and paid the money. Good writing, good character development, good voice acting direction, good voice actors. Very well done. Okay, what's good and what's bad? The good stuff, well, the story is well written and well paced, the cutscenes are unbelievably good. Ranged combat, enemy variety and the stunning boss fights elevate this game above all others in the genre. The varied skill tree offers freedom to express your own playstyle, the side quests are greatly improved from the first game, the game world is gorgeous to look at and interesting to explore, and the photo mode is terrific. Bad stuff, Aloy's environmental chit-chat kills the experience at times, melee is a bit underwhelming, and the game has a very slow first 3 hours. So what's the verdict? Horizon Forbidden West is a rare thing, a sequel that lives up to the complete excellence of its predecessor. Whether it's the wonderful writing, the in-depth characters or the compelling story, all of these things make for a captivating game. The devs have addressed the issues with Zero Dawn, like adding more depth to the side quests, a more advanced skill tree and a few new gadgets that add a bit of variety. Whether it be taking on a giant boss, using tactics to overthrow groups of enemies, traversing the wonderful game world, or just exploring and finding little nuggets of lore or cool characters to have a chat with. Or it's almost, the perfect game. Almost, not quite. Like I said, melee combat, it does need a bit of work, needs more depth, more complexity. The commentary is a real annoyance, but there's not a great deal other than that I didn't like. Now it would be great if they could turn that chatter off, that needs to be added to the menu. It really isn't that big a thing to do, so I really hope they do that. That would elevate the game almost to a 10, I would say. But like I said, these aren't massive deal breakers, they're just little annoyances. It doesn't downgrade it because it is such a good game. It's a really, really good game. It's a really fucking good game. There you go. I swore. Down the rankings I go, but I don't care because this game, it is good. It's a fucking good game. I loved it from start to finish. Well, maybe not the first 3 hours, and the chit chat annoyed me a bit, but beside all that, an amazing experience, one that I thoroughly enjoyed and I would strongly recommend it. Okay, my score for Horizon Forbidden West is a 9.5 out of 10. Great sequel. Okay, that was the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, please subscribe, comment, become a patron. This is Photography Gamer, signing off. Thank you.